Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest is the creator of Caddyswag. Yes, you remember Caddyswag. I know you guys do. It is that golf bag cooler that keeps beverages cold on the course, you know, without waiting for the drink card, and you get a waiver. Did she just go to the back? Oh, she's on the back nine again, you know, right? Or you got to pay $80 for a 12 pack when you're playing with a foursome with your friends. And by the way, I mean, I play in a lot of executive tournaments and with leaders of industry, and I have in the past. They're sneaking beers out on the course too. Who are we kidding? I mean, that's just the way to do it. It's just, I don't get it. I mean, you know, anyway. My guest appeared on ABC's hit show, The Shark Tank, with his product, and we're going to discuss it. I am excited to welcome Ben Fossey to What Would You Ask podcast. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Good, guys. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
We're excited you're here. So let's talk about it a little bit. We're going to jump into some of the quick hitter questions. These are questions from our Platinum members, and they're a little bit scattered, and then we'll bring it all back in and start your journey from where it started and what got you to Shark Tank and your impressions of the tank when you were there and all that stuff. And then we certainly want to hear about Caddyswag today and what's going on with it and all that stuff. So let's jump right in. Scott from Atlanta, Georgia asked, how did you start your business, and how long before it became a business as opposed to a hobby?
Let's see. My business was actually started in a hot tub in Chicago the night before the Puma Open. My buddies and I and a few girls were having a good time, and we were trying to think of a way that would be better for us to sneak our beers onto the golf course for the event the next day. And we came up with all kinds of ideas from, you know, pop top to like a Pez dispenser, this, that, and the other thing. After the tournament was over, I kind of stuck with the idea and continued my prototype, found the materials that I wanted to use for it, which took a couple of months. Found a sailboat manufacturer, is the only one that had needles big enough to make my prototype. Took another 4 months to find my first manufacturer in China, and we were kind of up and running from there. I had 1,000 units brought over from China just as a trial run, and in less than a month, I had sold all 1,000 of those for full retail, literally out of the trunk of my car.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was selling them in parking lots. I was selling them at golf courses. I was selling them to anybody who would want it. And I turned my $5,000 investment into $20,000 with that. And then the ball kind of started rolling from there.
Where did the idea of Shark Tank come? Did you think you had a product mature enough to get on the tank, or?
I had never heard of Shark Tank before. A friend of mine that I play softball with had mentioned it a couple of times. And a friend of mine from Chicago had mentioned it a couple of times and thought that it would be a good fit. This was during season 1. So I went online, I filled out an application, and I had sent them kind of an informational sheet about us. And for the first 5 or 6 weeks, it got kicked back to me saying that they weren't accepting any applications at this time. But I would just keep sending it every week until one week I didn't get that reply back. And a few weeks later, a producer had called me out of the blue saying that he had received my information, thought that we would be a good fit for the show. He was going on to another show, but was going to put me on what they called the grid. And somebody else was going to be following up with me the next week, which they did. The process, part of it was absolutely insane from there.
And we're going to get into that process. We want to hear the whole thing. The viewers and listeners are really intrigued by the stick-to-itiveness of some of you entrepreneurs that have to go through this. I mean, we're talking about now, and even back in the day, it was thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, and they whittle it all the way down to, 50 people and so on, and continue to break it down. Stephen from Portsmouth, New Hampshire wants to ask, how intimidating is that 30-second wait when you're standing in front of the sharks?
It all kind of hits you at once. I assume you're talking about
when they do the lighting.
Yeah, it just all kind of, does hit you at once, it can be a little bit overwhelming. We were lucky to have producers that pitched us really well on how to handle the sharks, how to handle your segment, how to answer the questions. They gave us some really good tips. Every shark or every person that goes on Shark Tank is assigned one of several producers that kind of handles you through the process. And we were lucky to have really good producers on our side.
Mike from Brooklyn, New York, aside from the numbers, and I know he's talking about evaluation and lifetime value and cost of acquisition and all that stuff, what was really important to you to make sure that the Sharks understood?
At that time, it was really important for me to go after Kevin Harrington specifically, because he was kind of their direct response shark in season 2. They had just introduced Mark Cuban, and when they invited us to come to LA, the first time that I was supposed to be there, they film over the course of 2 weeks. They'd asked me to come for week 1 so I could film with Mark Cuban specifically. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there for that time period, so I said, I can't do that week. And they were like, well, nobody tells Shark Tank no. I'm like, well, unfortunately, I can't be there for that one. So then they defaulted me to week 2. It was very important for me to understand that Kevin Harrington had a firm grip on my product because I felt like he was my best option. And so what did I want them to know is that there needs to be more emphasis on the Main Street golfer versus, just the competitive golfers.
Got it. So let's go through the journey. We started to talk a little bit about it, but let's talk about the actual process. So what motivated you? Now you started the business, you got out of that hot tub, you did that tourney, you figured out, hey, I need something. By the way, I'd rather get a Caddyswag than all the other crap that I get from the golf tournaments. Do I need another koozie? Is it possible to have the amount of koozies that in the day in my trunk? I could have sold them out of my trunk literally for a nickel.
Yeah.
I'd never used them, right? Or you got the pen, or you got, the junk that you got. You gave me a 6-pack holder in the back of the trunk, hello. Anyway.
In your golf bag, yeah. No, I hear you.
Let's talk about the journey. You apply, you tell us you relentless weekly. All of a sudden, you don't get that response that we're not taking stuff. You get a producer calling. Take us through, Ben, the process. I'm sure they're telling you, they're interviewing you, they're talking about your business, they're vetting the whole process. They're vetting you, the business. They're asking you to put together a video. Take us through kind of the cadence. Is that months of time? Tell us where, and then before you get to LA, tell us a little bit about that.
The process was insane. I was smart enough to include my beautiful wife in my video because I felt like, one, she is the president of Caddyswag. We are a minority-owned company. But two, I felt like having an attractive female as part of my approach was something that would help me out. So when they called me the second time, they just wanted to make sure that my wife would be available if I was to continue on. So, which I was. The process from there was, minimum of 3 conference calls a week for a month and a half, going through my pitch, going through my strategy, more of this, less of that. And then my producer started to incorporate more rebuttals to see how we were going to handle that. And then they would record some of those phone conversations, and you continue up this platform. Once you get to a certain point, they want to make sure that you're okay with the contract that they have. So they send you a contract that looks like a New York City phone book, if you remember phone books. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 lawyers take a look at it, and they're like, well, you're basically signing over, you're basically signing your life over to be able to be a part of this show. They can record you with or without you knowing, from the time that you land in LA to the time that you leave. So if you're out for dinner, they can record you if they want. If you're in a taxi, in your hotel room, etc. So that was a little bit of intimidating, but we decided that, we're just going to keep moving forward. We had watched season 1. We knew that they weren't looking to try to make anybody look bad. They weren't doing anything salacious. Both my wife and I had professional careers. And so we were like, how are they going to make us look? We know that everybody that we have ever met or will ever meet is going to see this. And so we were just kind of, looking through that process. Once you sign off on the contract and you get out there, the first thing that we did in season 2 was you go through a meeting with all of their lawyers. They eliminate a few people right there out of the gate. They say, hand you your plane ticket and say, you're gone. We're sending you go get your bags. We're sending you to the airport. You then pitch Mark Brunette and his team, and they either say, thanks for coming. Here's your ticket home. Or we like what you're doing. We'd like to see a little bit more of this and a little bit less of that. Okay. And then you come back the next day and you pitch somebody else. Mark Brunette's not there. And they say, great, a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. And we were there for 6 days. Out of the people that they do record, only a small fraction, if you get turned down, only a small fraction of those episodes ever see the air, right? And so our producer did a really good job of continuing to rebuttal. If they bring up a no or a reason why not, continue to rebuttal. And if you get the opportunity, do something outrageous. It's still a TV show.
Yeah.
So do something outrageous. And after I was in the tank for over an hour, to which you see 6.5, maybe 7 minutes. And I kept thinking to myself through the whole process, I just wanted to put my wife behind me. So I was in between the firing squad, which was the Sharks, and all the questions that were just, you barely get a chance to finish one and another one's coming. You maybe get a chance to finish that one and another one's coming. And I just had this protective instinct about me that I wanted to put myself in between my wife and the Sharks. So at the end of it, when they didn't want my product and I had, exhausted every rebuttal that I had, said, if you don't like my product, you guys don't believe in it, I'm taking it back. I'd given them all a Caddyswag 6-pack. I'm sure you've seen it. It was ice cold. It was embroidered with Caddyswag. They were beautiful. And in season 1, a lot of people were just coming in with prototypes and stuff like that. And we were much further along than, hey, I just have a widget that I really want to get made and take it to market. We already had our manufacturing and our distribution completely set up. So I went and I took them all back. And the part that they edit out is Barbara said, I've got 2 brothers that are roofers. They play golf, and I know that they would love this product. Could I please keep one from each one of my brothers? And I was like, Barbara, you were a sweetheart through the whole process. Yes, here's one for each of your brothers. Would you like any more? And when you watch the episode back, they cut that part out because it was a chance for them to make me kind of look like sort of a villain, like, oh, this guy's just taking them all back. And it would not have been as outrageous if they would have left in me letting Barbara keep the 2 that she asked for.
Did anyone else say anything to you when you were taking it? Because I think that is that's one of the boldest moves on Shark Tank. You don't want my product, and you don't even need the
you'll get the free ones.
The gift, right? Yeah. So did somebody say, I'd like to keep it, or what are you doing, or anything? No comment, just hand it back to you?
As we were walking out, I heard one shark say to the other, why did you piss him off? I wanted to keep mine, right? There's also the same guy who said, why do I need one of these? My wife has 15 coolers in the refrigerator out in our garage. Why do I need another one of these? Well, 5 minutes later, he's like, why'd you piss him off? I wanted to keep it. Why didn't you invest in our product? At the end of the day, it was about making sure that we got that exposure. It was about making sure that we made it on the air. We didn't go through months of this process. And by the way, the day that we recorded was my daughter's first birthday.
Wow.
Now, fortunately, we already had it set up to have a birthday party for her the week prior, but it was her actual birthday the day that we were recording. And all these things are going through my head. And I'm like, I did not come this far to not make it onto the show. So one way or another, I have to make sure that this happens. And that was kind of our defining moment that would eventually separate us from the other no's as to why we would want to put this product on. You got to remember, in season 1, Kevin Harrington had invested with a urologist into the golf club that you urinate into on the golf course, right?
Yeah. Which,
like, I've never seen anybody have a need for not just being a guy, especially, right? Because you can only, women can't use this product as far as I know.
Yeah.
So, the fact that they were giving another novelty golf product a shot was important. That I thought that we made it on the air, and so we found a way to do that.
So I want to go kind of through this step by step. Thank you for that summary. That's awesome, because that's exactly what I wanted to hear, was the fact when you went and got that stuff back. This product, though, different than the urinating club or whatever the heck that thing was. I mean, if I remember correctly, it was green and it was long, and you kind of just
has a towel over it.
Yeah, towel
was to stand in the middle of the
wrap around. Yeah, I mean, what happened to the woods and the tree and run in there and run out? I don't get it. But anyway, this is I thought this, Ben, when I saw it for the first time, and then after doing the research for this interview, I saw it again. This is something that I would much prefer from that corporate event that I go to, or much prefer from that tournament bag that I'm left in my cart when I get out to my cart to start the tourney. Something meaningful other than the koozies that you get and the pens that you get that don't even work. And I don't even know why you need a koozie. Is it that cold that you got to hold it? Anyway, let's not go off the tilt.
The logo and sponsorship part of our business, it's probably about 35% of our annual sales, and we've done we've been in corporate stores for Honeywell, corporate golf events for FedEx, some of the largest corporate golf events in the country, but we also do private labeling for really small companies as well, where we just put the logo on. And you bring up a good point, because the number one response I get from these golf tournaments and corporate events that put their logos on is, the next year that they have it, how many people still have this in their golf bag? Another golf towel, another sleeve of balls. I'll lose 3 balls in 2 holes. I don't know, about you. So there's something to be said about having a product with your company's logo on that golfers actually appreciate and use. And it is a big part of our business. I wish that Shark Tank would have let us focus on that a little bit more, or if they would have included some of that a little bit more. They mention it in the segment, and I understand that they were doing what they were doing, but I was hoping that we could get a little bit more focus on that corporate side of it, because it is such a big part of the business.
Ethan from Madison, Wisconsin wants to know, after you presented, who did you think was championing your product and who was still skeptical or not interested?
I know that Barbara was interested through Yurkovich, was kind of dipping his toe in the water. Harrington was kind of sitting back and seeing, and Mr. Wonderful just kind of started teeing off on us anyway. And Damon John was an asshole to me from the second. See, what happens is you come on board, you come in through the doors, and then you hit your mark and you stop. All right? They reset, and then they have you start your pitch. So I'm assuming that's the 30 seconds that your first question was talking about. I could tell by his body language from the second we got out of the golf cart that he was going to be a problem. And so I started challenging him a little bit right away, and he was out, right? And I didn't know if we had some history together, or if I had dated one of his girlfriends in Brooklyn back in the day. But that's kind of how he was treating me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was fine. We wanted to move on past Damon anyway and focus to the people who could probably see the value in this. So, Damon John, asshole out the gate. And, you know, I've gone to a fundraiser that Damon John had put on here in the Twin Cities a few years after the fact. He had no idea that I was there. And he's unapologetic about kind of the asshole that he is. And that's just my opinion, right?
What you approached him and said hello?
I did. I told him I was on Shark Tank season 2, and he was just kind of like, he big timed me right out the gate there too, which I expected him to do. And I was hoping to get a chance to have a little bit better impression of him. But I left that fundraiser still donating because I believe in the cause. I wish they would have found a better keynote speaker.
Got it. Sarah from Phoenix, Arizona asks, after seeing your presentation on TV, did you think of any mistakes you made while in the tank?
Yeah, you always do, I think. There's ways that, you're always second guessing yourself. I wish I would have said this, or, I wish I would have answered like that. There's really, there's still things to this day that will replay, replay in my head on, God, I just wish I would have answered this specific question a little bit differently. What the weirdest part about it is, as you're replaying all of this, try to imagine this for a second. You get done filming, and we finished filming maybe at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. From 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 4 o'clock in the morning, my wife and I were not alone for 1 minute just to be able to process and talk about the experience. As soon as you're done recording, they bring a psychologist into your green room. To me, a lot of people mortgage their house, their kids' college, their life savings. And if they don't get this deal, they're going to jump off of a roof somewhere, right? So they want to make sure you're not going to do anything to yourself because you didn't get the deal. Then you're put into a van with other contestants and you go to the airport. You get to the airport, other people that contestants are already at the airport. So they're all huddled around each other. Then you're on a flight. You get home from the flight. You have a driver taking you back to your house. You get back to your house. We're laying in bed looking up at the ceiling at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, what just happened? And now you're thinking about every high school teacher that told you were going to be a failure, because you didn't know trigonometry. Every ex-girlfriend, anybody you've ever had a dispute with is going to be like, oh God, you're an idiot. Like, how are they going to make you look? And so that was kind of, as I was thinking about, I wish I would have answered this different. I wish I would have answered that different. We never really had time to digest it between the two of us for the 12 hours after we were done filming. And that was the weirdest part.
Thomas from San Antonio, Texas says, was there anything different from when you were watching the TV from being there live?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Was there a second part to that?
No, that's it. That's it.
They rearrange your facial expressions, right? There's nothing that you see on the show happens the way that they replay it. Everything is completely edited down. They'll get your facial reaction from a different question and use that for a question from somebody else, right? Damon John maybe asked you one question. I gave him a facial expression like you're an asshole. And then they use that facial expression for Barbara's question. So yeah, the way that you see it on TV, it's made for TV, which I would have it no other way. That's part of what makes it a great program.
People want to know, Ben, about the logistics. So how far are you? I know this is you're probably going to dismiss it like, well, who cares? But how far are you from the Sharks? Are they on a platform? It looks like they're on a little bit of a stage. Are they on the floor? Did they ever get up? Are they stopping this thing as you're there for an hour? And tell us a little bit about the production.
I think they take the breaks in between contestants throughout the day, because when I was backstage, as we were getting ready to go, I could see the monitors of the people that were pitching before, and then they would take 10 or 15 set up for the next one. They've redone their set several times since season 1, season 2. So I don't know what it's like now, but we were probably 15 feet away from them. They did not get up at all during the entire segment. They were seated in individual chairs with a table in front of them. And it was more just feeling like you're tied to a firing post for an hour. And then, the closest I ever got to the sharks was when I went back to take them back. And, some of them have really good, expensive cologne. But other than that, and Barbara was a sweetheart. Actually got a great picture of her doing the Price is Right pose with one of the products. I'm glad that I left her one of the products because she did the Price is Right pose with it afterwards that one of their photographers had taken. And it's been a priceless picture that we continue to use to this day.
So interestingly, how do you get that picture? They sent it to you? Just said, hey.
No, they didn't. I found it. I found it online, and I can't remember what the format was. I think it was on the Shark Tank page on ABC. They put up pictures from each set, right? They put up pictures just kind of as you're going through the product or as you're going through the process. They take just random pictures. They have a set photographer. And I think that Barbara was so happy that we left her the two that she just kind of stood up and posed for them. And they had it on abc.com on the Shark Tank page. And I just kind of took it from there and have been using it ever since.
That's great. So you get on the tank, you don't get a deal. You're out of there. I want to talk a little bit about the Shark Tank effect, and then I want to find out what's going on with Caddyswag today. So let's talk about the Shark Tank effect. You get off the show, it gets aired, 3 months later? Is it a longer time than that? Tell us a little bit about that.
We filmed October 1st, and it aired the following Easter. So October 28th to Easter was the time that they used for production. And, everything is very kind of short notice when you get it. We found out 6 days before we were going to be flying out to film, and it was really similar. We didn't find out until maybe a week or 10 days before it was going to air. They reached out and said, you're going to be airing on this date. We'll be sending you follow-up demographics. And every time that it aired on ABC, they would send us the numbers for that episode on how many people viewed it, et cetera, et cetera. So
you don't know, and I know you already said this, but I just want to be clear. You're assigned a producer, and when you leave, there is no guarantee you're even going to be on the air. You filmed it. You spent 6 months doing it.
Chances are better that you won't make it on the air than you will make it on the air.
That's amazing.
I'll bet you 60 to 70% are told no and sent home. And, you're extremely lucky if you don't get a deal. Your odds are better if you do get a deal. But I've heard of people that have even gotten deals that didn't make it on the air because the deal fell through from the time that they recorded until the time that it aired.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you get on the air, it's coming out, you find out it's coming on. And then what is that effect from, so, it's what, $1 million in advertising, just that 6 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever you were on. What did that do to your product? High volume, blow up your website. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've seen the $1 million evaluation for the show. You probably read some of the similar articles that I have. We were prepared as best as we could with different types of products packaged up and ready to go. Overwhelming is a good way to put it. I couldn't ship them out fast enough. I can go back and take a look at the numbers of our first day, our first week, our first month, and 90 days after after the episode aired, and it was a complete onslaught. And the first thing that I want to do is get the orders out, but then start following back up on all the other people who have products that want your help to go overseas that you don't really think about. And 100 emails telling you look like a douchebag in white pants on national television. 1,000 emails saying, great job taking the coolers back. They didn't deserve them. It was a good move. And you just have to figure out, you got to prioritize this stuff to figure out how you're going to wade your way through everything to not miss out on, if you want to help somebody else develop a product and bring it in from overseas, how you're going to manage that and put them on your to-do list, but you're still putting, hundreds of orders a day out the door, which was the main priority.
It
was completely overwhelming as prepared for it as I thought that I was. There was really no way to prepare for it.
So they talked to you about the Shark Tank effect, even in the early seasons. They were saying, look, here's what may happen to you. Be prepared for this. Wow.
If you make it on the air, make sure that you're completely prepared. Well, I had no way of really knowing that we were going to be on the air until about 10 days prior. So yeah, I had ordered enough product and enough stock, and I had everything warehoused to anticipate. I'm like, how are you not going to put us on there? I mean, come on. And so I was prepared for it, and I knew that I was going to sell my products anyway, whether I was on the air or not. And so, I did the best that I could, and we were able to fulfill everything, by the way. I would say that we did, probably north of $50,000 in business the first day. Over $50,000 in sales just in that 24-hour period. And then it slightly started to curtail off, and then it would replay again. And it went from, I believe it was 20 million viewers the first episode. And then every time they replayed it, they would send us the numbers. It went like from 20 million to 10 to 5 to 2.5. to 1 point whatever, and then I stopped getting numbers after that.
So I have seen, and I watch, everything runs together now since we started the Shark Tank series on the podcast, but you're talking about the reruns. I saw yours a month or two ago, maybe. Again, it gets mixed up because I watched so much video, but little bump every time that happens still?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. Right?
Yeah,
2X,
you're
3X,
about like
4X?
MSNBC, like replaying on cable and whatnot. Yeah, I can always tell right away when we're on the air just from my phone, right? The orders just start coming in, the emails start coming in, everything my phone just starts going crazy, and I can just tell within 30 seconds that we must have re-aired, or Golf Digest put an article out there about us or something like that.
So tell everybody how's the business today?
Interesting as it is, and I know that there are so many people that are out there struggling right now with our current environment between, pandemic and just issues within our country. But I have to say that for Caddyswag specifically, the whole COVID pandemic opening up golf courses, we have not seen numbers like this since the first 2 times we've aired on Shark Tank. Our numbers have been through the roof with golf courses being open, but not having services out on the course. Golf tournaments are getting opened up again, which is great. So we're seeing tournaments across the country, but we're also seeing a big spike with amateur and youth golfers utilizing our cooler for dietary needs when they're out on the golf course. 13-year-old kids, they don't have tons of selection besides crap to eat at the golf course. We can get a cheeseburger at the turn. I see parents that are ordering this for their kids now to be able to keep anything from, sandwiches made from home to keeping yogurt, hard-boiled eggs cool in your golf bag. Having, science shows that golfers play better when they have the things that they enjoy, when they have their choices on the golf course when they become hungry, as opposed to being forced into getting whatever's available. And so we've seen a big increase in the youth and amateur golfers. And, hey, we've still got our core Caddyswag crew out there that love having a few cold beers of their choice, their flavor, their brand, when they want it, ice cold in their golf bag for 18 holes. We're having to ramp up our manufacturing, more than we have in the last 3 or 4 years. And, we're putting tens of thousands of units out the door right now every year, and we don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, I think, I related to my family. I have 4 kids, and 2 of them are boys, and one is a golfer and one plays baseball. And those are 2 sports that are, not contact, right? So they're participatory, but they're not, blocked by, government or whatever. The footballs and the basketballs and hockeys are kind of, maybe things are morphing your way a little bit to the golf, because it's it's like tennis. It's a golfer against the game, right? It's tee to green. It's not smashing heads and dealing with masks and all that stuff. So maybe that helps you out a little bit there as well.
It really does.
Tell everybody where they can find your product, website, retail. Where are we finding Caddyswag today?
Yeah, the best place to find the product is Caddyswag.com. That is kind of our flagship location. We offer 2 coolers for the price of 1. Oh, cool. Free shipping on everything. We ship everything priority. Typically the day that it is ordered, it's sent out if we get it before noon. If we receive the orders afternoon, they typically go out the next day. We're also available on Amazon. That's probably where we sell the bulk of our product, is on Amazon. It doesn't have quite the special that we have on our website at 2 for 1. But Amazon's a great place to go and get it. They ship internationally for us. I love the Canadians. We get tons of orders from the Canadians, but we can't offer the same deal for the Canadians as we do in the United States because of some of the shipping costs. So fortunately, if you're in Canada, you can go to bogiegolf1.com, bogiegolf1.com if you're in Canada, and you can order them there as well. But Caddyswag.com and Amazon are the best places to get our product right now.
Awesome. Ben, on behalf of the listeners and all the viewers of What Would You Ask podcast, we're excited you were here. Once we told everybody you were coming, they were pumped up because, 1, you were entertaining and it was fun to watch on Shark Tank. And 2, they would know that they're going to get the candid, straightforward opinion from you. And that's what we got. So thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. You can always check out more Caddy Swaggery on Wednesday nights. We do have a live radio show that we go full Caddy Swag mode every single week, and you never know what's going to happen. We only have one rule: no politics. That's the only thing we won't talk about is politics. Everybody else and everything else is fair game. So you can go to Caddyswag.com for more information on that also.
Thanks, Ben. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Stick around for more What Would You Ask podcast. We'll be back.